British Rally Championship gets underway this weekend, and it's a season that promises plenty of speed, pressure and competition between the major contenders.
We've pretty much got the best package we can get. There's no reason in me to think that we can't win the championship this year.
Today we're joined by two drivers who know exactly what's at stake as we go into the 2026 season.
From my point of view, the risk is more so what I don't know about the car. I've been at this job long enough to know if something feels right or doesn't feel right.
I think we both have a soft spot for the same one, but one of us has had quite a lot of success on it and the other one has had absolutely no success on it. So.
Both driving for the MEM rally team this year in the iconic Castrol Toyotas. One has his eyes firmly set on his first championship, and the other is looking to repeat his victory in 2022.
You know, to work with a team that I know very well, we've had a lot of success together. It just seemed that, you know, everything was meant to be, you know.
On the show today, we welcome Meirion Evans and Osian Pryce. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. I know you're both quite busy. How are you both today?
Yeah, all pretty good.
All good? Good.
Yeah, all good, thank you, yeah.
How's the stress levels?
No stress.
No stress?
No stress.
Week before the first event, there's no stress. That's impressive.
No.
Right, okay,
no
let's get on with it. No stress at all. I think it probably is a little bit. Right, okay, let's start with quite a simple one. Can you both share how your rally journeys started? Who wants to go first?
You can take that off.
Rally journey seems like a long time ago now, to be honest. So I started back in 07, 08. So there was a scheme back then called Junior Rallying, which basically was bringing on the next crop of young talent. So what that was, like a training scheme then that allowed us to pass sort of, we had some instructors in like Gwyneth Evans to coach us, and Alistair Moffat, who was Auto Test champion, and a few other people. So that was just a scheme basically just to get us up and running where we could legitimately go and rally in Latvia before the age of 17 and obviously passing our driving test over here in the UK. So quite an exciting opportunity. It was quite, where we started, quite reasonable in terms of cost. It was real rallies, sort of BTRDA length rallies, and you had a recce, which I sat in the back of a car. My dad and co-driver Craig Parry at the time did the driving and the co-driving, and I just called the notes from the back. So it all started from there really. And then obviously as soon as I passed my driving test, then back over here, I did the local rally, which is now the Rally North Wales, which has just ran the other week. So I did that within like 2 weeks of passing my driving test in turning 17. So it's a long time ago, but everything seemed pretty simple back then compared to what it is now.
Bit different from hooning around a McDonald's car park, I guess, then, isn't it? Like most 17-year-olds end up doing.
Yeah, well, there's no McDonald's here anyway, so
Wow.
you'd have to travel far to get a McDonald's here.
Oh, fair enough. I didn't know that. There's not a single one. Did not know that. Meirion, how about yourself?
I was maybe a bit more conventional by now, but I turned 14 in 2009. So that was the first year of the Junior 1000 in the UK. So I started doing that, I think it was October 2009. And I did 3 or 4 years in that. And, and obviously what Osh did was very good, the way they got to go and rally in forests in Latvia and stuff. But, the Junior 1000's a good format, but we were just restricted to single venues and airfields and stuff like that. But, set me off on the right foot, I would say. It was a good experience. And by the time I turned 17, then got into like a Fiesta ST and took on some gravel rallies. It kind of, I think those 3 years served me well, put me a lot further forward than what I would have been had I just jumped in straight in at 17, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is kind of the route that a lot of guys and girls in the UK take, isn't it? Single venues.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
They are kind of worth their weight in gold in terms of getting people involved into the sport anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Although starting in Latvia is pretty special too, to be fair. I mean, that's an opportunity of a lifetime, isn't it? So you're both rally guys, and obviously, Meirion, you've grown up since birth, surrounded by the sport.
Couldn't avoid it.
No. So I'm going to take your dad out of this But I do want to know, who were your role models growing up and why?
I guess obviously I would say my dad is a guy who got me involved in everything, but then I would say just from watching on TV, then you'd pick up people like, watching Colin McRae as a kid. I guess that's probably my first memory, really. I know the McRae Subaru thing is legendary, but I always grew up, like when I was getting old enough to know what was happening, Colin was driving the Focus, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember we repaired a Focus for John Ingram once, and it was the first time I'd seen one in the flesh. And I got so excited, to see this like ex-McRae car in the garage. I was like a kid at Christmas. But yeah, I'd say so McRae as a kid, but then as I grew up more, I really kind of grew to appreciate what Loeb and Osian have done, in fairness. The way they transformed the sport in a way has been unreal, and they've set a new bar for everyone.
They really did raise the bar, and they took it to a worldwide audience as well.
Yeah,
it's pretty special what those guys managed to do. Colin in particular. I've just seen a little thing that Holly's done, and seen all his video games and his suits and all the room that they're putting together with the trophies. It's going to be pretty special when that's done.
Yeah.
Do you still look up to those guys in the same way as you did growing up, or has that changed in some way?
It's a bit different. I think obviously growing up, I grew up in the area where Loeb was winning everything, and as a casual fan, you find that a bit boring. But then once you compete yourself at a decent level, you kind of appreciate how special it is to do what he did,
Yeah.
You even see now, like, Calais has won 2 world championships and gone to do something else. To have the drive, like Loeb and Osian have done, to go and do it over and over again and to keep winning, and just to have that, I don't know, the desire to win when you've already won 7 or 8 world championships is something special. So I think I've seen it more from that side, probably from more like a sportsman point of view rather than a fan, and appreciating how good they are and how obsessed they are with success.
And the level of commitment that they're still putting in. It's amazing. Osian, what about yourself? Who were your role models growing up?
Yeah, very much. We've grown up, Meirion and myself, probably a couple of years apart. I'm a little bit older, so I was sort of fortunate to remember the McRae era when he was in the Subaru, the latter part of the Subaru years. But obviously Richard Burns was coming along quite strongly then. So, and again, I think it was Rally GB one year when, I think it was 2001 when they both went for the title, and there was a big hype around it, and that was really cool to have 2 Brits the pinnacle of the sport, really. So it was good to have that, being from the UK, and it was just a nice thing to follow, and the coverage was so good back then. It was on your sort of daytime TV, and it was quite accessible in some ways to watch rallying, but no, it just, I was quite lucky that, in recent years to pick up sort of tuition from Thierry Neuville and guys like that. So I really admired what they'd done as well, out to nothing, sort of following a similar path to me, but obviously made it into the top flight of motorsport in WRC. So, and again, like Meirion said, what the 2 Stamps have done, you've only got to look at what Loeb has done as an athlete and a driver. He's not just gone down the rallying route. He seems to have excelled in many different disciplines. And I think as I've got older, I've sort of, I've admired that side of things much more when, one day my rallying path will probably come to an end, and more than likely I'll be daft enough to try something else. So, I'm just trying to absorb what he's doing to be able to stay in motorsport and excel at so many different disciplines.
Sure. I mean, Loeb obviously started out as a gymnast, of all things. So it's a bit random, but yeah, he's gone on to have success in obviously many other areas. He's just a winner, plain and simple. Big news, obviously, that you've come back to MEM recently, Osh. We know that's obviously been in the press recently, but it's obviously not the first time that you've been with the team, is it? You actually won the title in 22 with them.
Yeah, it's good to be back, really. It was nice to have the phone call. Doesn't actually feel that long ago. A lot's happened in a very short space of time. But no, it was nice to be back with the team, and looking forward to this week and getting stuck in and working with the guys again.
How long ago was that phone call? How long has this journey been?
It was the tail end of the first week of Feb. So all happened very quickly.
Better memory than me, I couldn't tell you.
So very recent then. Okay. So I'm assuming you're back for the very same reason then you'll be going for a title fight this year.
Yeah, exactly that really. I'd kind of been loosely looking for something like a full-time or a regular seat in a championship. I didn't really, I didn't really know which route I was going to take. I knew the ERC route would be very expensive, and again, I'd have to do a lot more rallies to keep my hand in. But I just wanted to do something on a regular basis where you can just plan and do the job properly. In recent years, and I mean, last year it was planned to take the sort of the first half of the year out, but hopping back into a 2 rally program made things quite difficult, even though the result was very good. There's nothing like seat time and doing something on a regular basis. So sure. I'd been sort of loosely looking to do stuff alongside obviously the European historic stuff that we're doing with the Escort. But when this came along, to work with a team that I know very well, we've had a lot of success together. A car that I hadn't driven and quite fancied to go, and to have Castrol and on board as well to support us, as well as my own sponsors. It just seemed that everything was meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that Castrol livery is iconic, and it was amazing to see it back and continue. Most definitely. How much experience have you managed to get in the Yaris then? Because I know you've got testing tomorrow, but how much time have you managed to get in the car?
0.
Wow.
So far, nothing. Wow. So we're sort of baby steps tomorrow, but I mean, I'm quite lucky with. I say I'm quite lucky, but with my background doing a lot of driver coaching, I tend to hop in and out of different cars on a weekly basis. Not always drive, but you always pick some stuff up from different drivers, and it just keeps your mind sharp and thinking about what you need and how to be the best you can be. So, I mean, yes, I've got James Morgan alongside me co-driving this year, which, if I'm honest, he's probably got 10 times more experience of the car than me, because he's done WRC2 in the car, and that was one of the main reasons, as long as knowing James very well and that he's a good co-driver. But it just having him alongside is probably going to be a big help for me, especially the early part of the season where he knows the car and he's able to say, well, yeah, that's good, that's not as good. So, and he'll be my second pair of eyes and ears. So yeah, it'll be a big benefit to have James on board.
Yeah, that experience will be invaluable in the early days, the first couple of rallies, I'd have thought. So it's going to be an interesting rally then at Severn Valley this weekend. What's your approach for the first couple of stages then? Are you going to just take it steady, or are you just going to go full send?
Really steady, I hope.
Yeah. The thing is with the gravel rallies in the UK now, they're probably as short as they have been for a number of years.
Yeah.
So you haven't really got time to go steady anymore. Meirion and Max, they're obviously, they've had a lot of experience of the cars in recent rallies, whereas I'm kind of, hoping for a good test on Tuesday and going from there. But you can't ease yourself into these rallies. Even the longer ones, to be honest, everybody's flat out from the first start into the last finish control. So, yeah, we just need to get a good feeling with the car very quickly, I'm hoping. And then come the rally, with car one on the road, which seems a bit bizarre. But I guess we did win the last edition of the rally. So now we'll be going as fast as we can from the first stage.
Good to hear. Good man. So, Meirion, you've had, or you've been known to have quite a considered approach in rallies in previous years. Mm-hmm. Is that going to stay the same, or like Osh said, are you just going to go hell for leather stage one and see what happens?
In fairness, I'd say up to now, I've been more clever because I guess over the last couple of years, at least up until probably the Cambrian or the Grampian last year, I knew I didn't really have the speed to win on gravel without other boys having issues. I was still kind of learning my way a bit. Obviously, I did only tarmac really for my first 5-6 years in Rally 2 cars, and then to jump in, I think it was this rally 2 years ago was my first one with the Yaris on gravel. And it took us a bit to learn, so I knew really up until the back end of last year that we had to be a bit clever and pick up points on gravel events, and then try to win on tarmac when we could, which worked quite well last year actually. But I think this year, after Rally North Wales a couple of weeks ago, we've made some good steps. So, hopefully now we can be a bit more in the picture on both surfaces. And I think to answer your question, then it's going to be like Osh was saying, the rallies are that short. You can't really bed yourself in anymore. It's you're going to have to go and push quite hard from the start. And I think this weekend with I guess the 2 short stages to start, for Osh, I think that's a good thing because, if everything's new and you're going into like a 12 mile to start, then, in your head, it's got to be 100%. Whereas, with the shorter stages, you can maybe afford to be not bang on the money and you won't lose too much time. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, like with the length of the rallies, you're going to have to be pushing quite hard from the start. The thing with me doing the BRC as well, I did so many years in Ireland where the rallies are all like over 200 Ks. And, every rally I was doing, I was managing and, managing when to push and when to come back. And then when I came back to the BRC, I quickly realized that doesn't really exist on these rallies when they're that short. Okay, some of the tarmac rallies we have are quite long, but on the gravel events, you just have to pull the pin from the start and go,
Yeah. I can imagine that's quite a challenge in an environment that you're not quite sure of. So, given that you're both basically going to go for it from stage 1, there's an element of risk involved with that. So how do you manage risk versus reward, not just for this rally, but across the championship?
That's a good question, really. I think from my point of view, the risk is more so what I don't know about the car. It's about getting that feeling up straight away. If obviously I'm not quite comfortable or need to make changes, I'm not going to push. I've been at this job long enough to know if something feels right or doesn't feel right. And, I've, touch wood in the past, always been sensible enough to kind of realize, look, let's solve the problem and move forward. So yeah, it's one of them. Yes, we, in recent years with the championship, we've always had to be winning events really from the get-go to get a good start. And the way the point structure works, you have to get those wins in. So yeah, it's for me the risk is basically the unknown, and the the feeling, or hopefully the test. I'm sure the test will be fine, but it's there's a lot of apprehension at the minute, just trying to think what it can be like. But again, I'm in safe hands. Like I said, there's no stress really. It's a rally that I've done before. I won it last time with my best mate alongside, and we just sort of blanked it a little bit, if I'm honest. So hopefully we are better prepared this time. We're in a car that's obviously done very well for the last 2 seasons, generally, globally, and obviously with a team that's won the championship many times. So I'm in safe hands, really. I'm probably the only one that's the risk is with me, not with anybody else, I would say.
Yeah. What about yourself, Meirion? And how do you manage that risk versus reward?
It's a tricky one, but you push hard, yes, but you try not to go over the top with anything.
Yeah.
The only thing I've learned with, like, especially on gravel, is the more you think you push, kind of sometimes the times go backwards, because I think you lose the being clean and all that state. You end up offline and all that kind of thing. So I think in terms of going flat out, yes, but it's not kind of full risk power stage push from the start. I mean, you're not going to be, well, I don't know what these boys might do, but I'm not planning on hanging a wheel off the road like every corner to try and make a difference. It's more taking a measured approach and driving as fast as you can with it without going over the top. I think that's the fine line. I think that's where you need to kind of put yourself and make sure that you're not taking unnecessary risks then to try and gain small bits of time, and more just being efficient and not going over the top.
Yeah. There's obviously a difference in style between the both of you. So I'm going to ask this. Can you name a particular strength that the other person has that you wish you had a little bit more of?
That's a good question, actually.
I've never been asked that before.
Never been asked that before. if Meirion wants to go first, he'd go first. But I'm thinking,
I think it's something I learn over the year because, like, obviously we ran Osh a couple of years ago. I've only competed against him still like 2 or 3 times in the same team, but he seems to be. I guess Osh seems to have a lot of speed, and then I think he's quite experienced as well. So if he gets ahead, generally seems to manage it very well. So
I think from my side, it's more so to do with the car. Obviously, Meirion has a fair few rallies under his belt now with the car, knows what, every squeak and every rattle, if that's right or wrong. Not that reliability is not an issue, but you can just when you sat in the car, like I've sat in the car in the workshop, and that's all I've done so far. So I think heading into the season now, it would be nice to have that bit of experience and hit the ground running. Whereas at the minute, I'm kind of hoping that we're going to be in the right place. So that hoping it'll feel fine. And at the end of the day, I've jumped into cars blind before, and it's worked, and sometimes it hasn't worked. But yeah, and sometimes it just takes you a bit longer to get used to the car. But I'm hoping we'll be all right. But yeah, my answer to that would be I would just like to have the knowledge technically and just from a driver point of view of what Meirion has of the car, really.
Sure. Do you guys have a favourite rally in the championship?
I think we both have a soft spot for the same one, but one of us has had quite a lot of success on it, and the other one has had absolutely no success on it. So I don't think I'll call it my favourite rally yet.
Well, so that's your least favourite then?
Well, I don't know. I love the rally, and obviously rallying so close to home in the ERC is so special, but I don't know. Something seems to be missing from me on that rally, and it has been. So hopefully it'll change this year anyway. Yeah,
fingers crossed. How much have you actually had in terms of involvement in development of the car then, Meirion?
To be honest, Toyota have been pretty good. They've been fairly kind of open to taking our feedback on. To be honest, we've struggled on some events, but there's some tests happening this year to solve that. So I actually drove for a day in France last year on a development test, which was quite good. So they're pretty good. They listen to what you say. Obviously, being a big company, they have a lot of customers to deal with. Things obviously don't get sorted overnight, but they do listen. They do take things into account, and it seems to be good. The car, in fairness, I think on gravel from the start was pretty strong. It's even better now, to be fair. But and even I think smooth tarmac has been good as well. It's just some kind of bumpy events. I wouldn't say we've struggled as such. It's still been kind of you're not slow, but it's just you could be a good bit quicker. So yeah, I think hopefully that'll get addressed this year, and I think it's the finished article then. It's
always been a capable car from the moment it was released, hasn't it? It's the one to beat, and it's going to be interesting. I think next year. I mean, I know Toyota are developing the WRC 27 car, but one thing we don't know is how close those Rally 2s are going to be to the WRC 27s. And I think it's going to be really interesting, especially on WRC and ERC, just to see how close those two cars are. Because that's really only a proper direct comparison, isn't it? So Max has obviously set that his sights are set on the championship this year in the Skoda. And Gary Pearson's obviously got his sights set on it with the full M Sport backing. Of the two, who do you think poses the biggest competition for you this year, or is it somebody else?
No, I think it's one of those two. I think obviously Max has been pretty good lately. So I had a good battle with him the other week. To be fair, I gave him the win. To be fair, I made a bit of a mistake, but look, I think he seems to be in a good place with the Skoda. I think Max is the thing with Max is he's young as well, and I think he's improving pretty quickly as well. So I think compared to last year, I think he needs to make a bit of a step on the tarmac, but where he's lucky, maybe this year the format is 4 gravel, 2 tarmac, so maybe the gravel is the most important this year. So I think both boys have the potential to be fast. I think I just only have to look across the tent. I think if I benchmark myself against that man, then they won't be far away.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Do you guys have any plans to do any ERC events this year then, or anything else, or is it just BRC?
It won't be for me. I've got a full season in EHRC, so I've got five rounds of that to contend with in between the BRC. So as it stands, yeah, I think I've got quite a bit going on and trying to manage everything. But I mean, ERC is great that we've got it. Obviously, not far from the pair of us. Really, it's kind of our home rally and that level. It'd be nice to do one prior to that, just as a bit of a warm up, because whatever the level is here in the UK, it's always a jump up to ERC level, which is nice to have, and it pushes you on that bit more. But it would be nice to hit the ground running in Ceredigion and be on the pace of those guys. But I think the only way to properly be prepared is to do an ERC event prior to that. But I don't think personally I'll have the time to do that.
A little bit of silliness. So, Osh, you have driven a huge variety of cars in your time. And last year, obviously, very famously, you won the RAC. So I didn't get a chance beforehand. So congratulations for that one.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What do you prefer, though? Modern Rally 2 or a Mark II Escort?
This is a very controversial question, to be honest, because I think the Rally 2 is just amazing what it can do. It always tests me, and it always makes me to push forward. And then when I hop into the Escort, I do feel a bit restricted. I always try to think, well, if I had this, if I had that, I could go quicker. But the car is what it is. You know, you can only drive with what you've got. But I think for pure enjoyment and just relax, you know, really enjoying your rally and being relaxed, you know, the Escorts is the way. But when you're competitive and wanting to progress and always push the boundaries and see how far you get, you know, it's the Rally 2. So probably not really answering your question, but there's a car that kind of ticks two different boxes for me.
How about just as a fan, as not a driver, just a regular rally fan? Is there a preference?
I guess the historics are really taking off now. There's some good momentum behind that, and we've seen that at the start of the year in Costa Brava. Whereas the Rally 2 stuff is when you do get a good bunch of people driving them, and they're one after the other, it's quite impressive to watch. But I think just because of the sheer momentum that historic rallying has got, you know, with the later the younger later cars, if you like, being allowed into the championship now, I think that's where everybody's interest is at the minute. Not taking it away from obviously the performance of the Rally 2 and everything like that, but it just seems to have struck the right time with the right era now, which is becoming very popular amongst fans and drivers, you know.
Sure. I mean, there was obviously a big deal about allowing Group A's in. A lot of the diehard historic fans didn't want that for a very long time, but I think acceptance of them is now coming around. So it's actually really nice to see like the old Gallants coming out again.
It needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the longevity of the historics as well, because the Escorts, as great as they are, I don't think they're going to be around forever. So it is nice to see that element come back in. Do you have a preference, Meirion?
Well,
as a fan,
I've only really ever rallied modern cars. So like I've been Rally 2 for the last few years, but my old man just bought a Group A Subaru, to be honest. So I never really showed much interest in historic rallying as such. The Escorts, good to watch and everything. I grew up watching them, but I'd enjoy driving it, but I don't know. It's never been like something I went to watch the RAC last year, and at no point was I like, I've got to do this, you know. But I think with like the Subaru now, I'd love to do a rally in that this year if I can at some point, because they're the cars I grew up with. You know, when I was a kid, my dad had them. You know, when he was coming up through, you know, doing a fair bit of rallying. So the chance for me to go, if I could drive one of those on an event, would be really cool. So I would say, like Osh said, probably similar in terms of the Rally 2. It's quite stressful actually at a high level in Rally 2. You have to work quite hard at it and everything, and maybe at the time you don't think you're enjoying it, but afterwards you realize it's pretty good. But I think the historic side gives you a different kind of enjoyment.
Yeah.
And it's something I'll hopefully get the chance to try sometime soon.
Keep an eye out for that, definitely. So if you could go back and compete in any rally in any time frame whatsoever, which one would it be? And I'm not including one of your own personal redos here. Totally different era. Different time, different car.
If I had to pick a car, it would have to be like the 17 WRC cars, I think. You know, the big aero cars with the center diff. I think if I could do a rally in any car, I think it would just be the Yaris from that era. And I wouldn't be too fussy on the rally, to be fair. Just to drive that car would be something. Yeah.
Okay. Ash, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think, again, when you wear in two hats, sometimes I would probably say the same. However, there is probably, again, going back to the historic side with, with the F2 cars coming into the fold now with European historic stuff, and it'd be nice to go and do like a Manx or something like that in one of the F2 cars. Obviously something that was very popular when I was growing up, and obviously like the stages for the Welsh and Vauxhall Rally Wales is just across the way from here. So I've got fond memories of that, and I've been lucky to drive the Escort and spend a lot of time in that. But it's I'm very fortunate to spend so much time in it now that it's almost a bit quite normal. So it would be nice to try and relive some of my youth, really, of what I remember as a kid growing up in this area. And obviously the sounds of those cars were very very distinctive, and it kind of was a busy time for rallying in the UK as well. So it'd be nice to go back to, like I say, Manx Rally in an F2 car.
That would be mental. I've got a real soft spot for the F2s.
Yeah.
The way they were driven, the sound, they were proper. It's like the essence of rallying. It was just so good, and they looked amazing as well.
The level was really high then as well. I mean, you had like 7 or 8 factory drivers, and it was that's always going to be the best, I think.
Yeah, we really do need to get back to that. And I'm hoping WRC 27 will be the lead-in for that. It'd be great to see that sort of thing come back again. Because it was a bit last minute. We didn't get a huge amount of questions through, unfortunately. But we did get one, which I quite liked. From Henry Cook W on Instagram. He asks, throughout both of your careers, what has been your scariest moment?
Every time somebody asks me that, I always go back to like my first proper moment. I was doing a rally in Cornwall in a 1 litre micro, and it was like the first corner. Well, you started and it went like 50 meters and a hairpin right. Then it was like basically half a mile straight to like a really fast right-hander. So it was like, in a way, one of the first corners of the rally, and we did like a 720 spin in 4th gear, like 90 mile an hour in a 1 litre micro.
Bloody hell.
And it was terrifying. But that's always one that comes back to me, just because we're in such a slow car, and it could have gone like Finland spec crash.
Yeah, could have been epic. Jesus.
But I've had a good few since then, so.
It's part of rallying though, isn't it? It's part of the game. What about yourself, Osh?
There's only one that sort of springs to mind, really. So Rally Poland 2017, I think it was. So we had 2 prize drives for winning the DMAC trophy in 16, and we'd had a car for Rally Poland from M Sport, and we had the biggest accident you could ever imagine on the second stage. I think it was the first proper stage, but second stage of the rally, on a piece of road that I know really well and had been over it before, but we got unlucky, and it was a big impact. And I remember being sort of stuck in the car because obviously it was so wet and muddy and horrible that the doors and everything was all twisted. We couldn't get out, so got out to the window. But then once we got out the car, then it was a big shock to see what we had survived, and we were very, very lucky. And that's probably one of the biggest, luckiest moments as well that I'd had, that we'd got out of that relatively injury free. The car was completely destroyed.
It's amazing what these cars can put up with, but
you never really want to find out, either.
No, you really don't.
Not a nice way of finding out that either.
And let's hope you don't. Okay, that's pretty much all we've got time for today. Thank you to both of you for joining us, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great rally. We'll be keeping an eye out. Great, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.